Hi, I'm Oliver Tan and welcome to Cathay Pacific's World of Entertainment. I'm traveling through the Nappa Valley right now near San Francisco. It's a city retreat about an hour away across the Golden Gate Bridge. It's here where Valley folk get to enjoy America's food and wine capital.
On board the Nappa Valley wine train, guests are treated to gourmet cuisine and world-class wines in elegantly restored Pullman cars, with a view of the vineyards leisurely rolling by. On its 36-mile round trip, the wine train even has time set aside solely for the pleasure of wine tasting. The rail track was established a century ago by millionaire Sam Brennan, who carried visitors north to his hot springs resort in Calistoga.
But before I get too relaxed in this laid-back Nappa Valley atmosphere, let's have a quick look at what's coming up in the next half an hour.
First, we take a walk in the clouds with the ultimate way to view the valley. Then we catch up with Steve Blacknell as he reviews the latest movie action from Cathay Pacific's world of cinema and takes us behind the scenes in December's movie of the month.
You're eternally grateful.
There's also our monthly roundup of international events and Cathay Pacific news. And finally, we consult the experts at the Niebaum-Coppola Winery on the do's and don'ts of wine tasting.
So let's join Steve Blacknell on his first take on December's film fair.
Now, if you haven't quaffed too much of the vino, on disembarking the Nappa Valley wine train, you might want to get a different angle on things with an alternative mode of transport. Hot air ballooning has developed as a must-do accompaniment to wine country and seems exclusive to the Nappa Valley. There must be some appeal to viewing vineyards from on high, as this is the most traveled hot air balloon corridor in the world. Balloon pilot Joyce Bowen of Bona Ventura Ballooning told us a little about her extraordinary job and the joys of looking down upon Nappa.
What would be the typical itinerary of a Bona Ventura balloon ride?
Well, our excursions happen early in the morning at sunrise when the air is calm and cool here. We do fly other places where we fly in the evening, such as in Costa Rica and in France. But in the Nappa Valley, we choose sunrise, and so our itinerary is going to be predicated upon the winds at that time, which are generally very gentle. And so it's an early morning call. We usually begin with coffee and waking everyone up, a briefing to give them a little education about how ballooning began and how it all works. And then we let them participate in the inflation of the balloons if they wish, which is dramatic and exciting, as you could see. And then following the flight itself, which is marvelous, of course. And every flight is different, by the way. Every flight is unique in its own adventure. That adventure ends with a landing and celebrating with champagne, which we're going to do next.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the steering. How does that work?
Well, we steer by following the wind currents, and they're sort of like little magic carpets. Sometimes we have 4 directions or more. Sometimes we have 2 or 3. We always have something that we work with. And we choose the currents that we want to sail on. And whether we go up or down, which we can control precisely, we choose the current that we wish for a left-hand or right-hand turn, or sometimes to go 180 degrees as well. We're more oriented towards seeing the vineyards and the wineries in the premium part of the valley, which is this area, the Oakville, Rutherford, St. Helena, heart of the valley as it's called. The Nappa Valley is very beautiful. I fly all over the world in many countries, and I always love coming home to the Nappa Valley. It's one of the most gorgeous vistas that there can be, and the magic of hovering low over the grapes, especially during harvest time, which we have now, and seeing the picking and calling to the workers as we did this morning is exceptional fun.
It was a perfect landing. I mean, if you consider how large or how little area there is here, we got it right on the road. That was absolutely amazing. But that certainly was a very spectacular and interesting experience.
I'm going to flip this graph. Okay. you.
Well, thanks to Joyce for that exciting balloon ride. So if you're interested in seeing the world from a different perspective, check out this website. It's www.bonaventuraballoons.com. Now it's time for the latest in the world of events.
From all of us here at Cathay Pacific, season's greetings.
Apart from winemaking, the Napa Valley also prides itself for its spa retreats. Naturally occurring hot springs and mud bath treatments have lured visitors here seeking purification for over 100 years. The pampering tradition continues all across the valley, but to glorious success here at the spa, at Silverado's Country Club, the largest in the valley, where a private spa suite will have you positively glowing again. Now it's time to check out the condition of December's movies with Steve Blacknell. Another retreat away from city life is found in the celebrated Napa Valley, only an hour's drive northwards from San Francisco across the Golden Gate Bridge. Even though San Francisco has plenty to offer, the Napa Valley is a unique opportunity to savor America's premier winemaking region, or the indulgences of a relaxing country spa.
The Napa Valley has 34,000 acres of vineyards, and Hollywood recently joined that club when film director Francis Coppola bought his own winery. Mr. Coppola is not new to this area, having lived here for 25 years, but his newly restored Niebaum-Coppola estate is now home to his 5 Oscars and organically grown vineyards.
Scott McLeod, a winemaker here at Niebaum-Coppola, has offered to let me sample some of Napa Valley's finest.
So Scott, tell me what the Napa Valley is famous for in terms of its wine flavors.
Well, flavor, that's a good question, because we don't really think of it in terms of flavors. We think of it more as varieties, or what the actual grape variety is that we plant. But whether it's Cabernet or Chardonnay or Pinot Noir, it really does have a flavor that you would say, if you were to taste it, say, ah, that Cabernet must come from Napa. Here in Rutherford, on the west side of the valley, Cabernets here are very much red cherry, or black cherry, and it's very specific.
And what about the Niebaum-Coppola estate? Do you do any special blends?
We've sort of taken the legacy of this property for Cabernet, and we've created a couple of blends. Let me show you that one bottle over there, which is the Rubicon.
This one?
Yes. And the Rubicon is, for us, that is our flagship Cabernet blend. Blends is a great way of creating flavors on a property apart from just being a varietal. And so you can take Cabernet and blend with Cabernet Franc, or Merlot into Zinfandel, or whatever. And by doing that, you can create wines that are flavors that no one else has.
Now, Scott, I've been drinking wine for a number of years now, but I really don't know anything about it. Especially when it comes to tasting wine, I find that process so intimidating. Can you show me how it's supposed to be done?
People often say to me, they say, I know what I like, but I don't know much about wine. And I say, but if you know what you like, you know 90% about wine. Because wine is something that, if you don't like it, if it doesn't give you pleasure, then as winemakers, we failed miserably. So I want to start with Chardonnay. And Chardonnay is now represents probably 85% of all of the white wine that's made and consumed in America. You'll see a lot of people doing this and swirling, but there is a reason for it. And what we're doing is we're trying to volatilize as much of the components as possible, so that when you smell it, you will smell as much as possible. Chardonnay certainly has always been compared to tasting like perhaps apples, or smelling like apples. And a lot of Chardonnays are, when we ferment them inside a barrel. And when you ferment them inside a wood barrel, it will pull up some of the flavors of the oak and some of the toast that they use to actually bend the barrels. But anyway, let's taste it. When you taste wine, though, when you actually get the wine in your mouth, immediately, this is where most people center their idea of what makes wine good. When you taste wine, you should taste, certainly, we look for in wine just big, we call dense flavors, almost concentrated flavors. So the wine feels almost oily. It feels like there's a lot of extract, so that the wine feels very viscous. And that's very typical of Chardonnay.
Is there a type of wine you should be drinking with a certain type of meal?
One of the great explorations, really, of food and wine is finding what you enjoy to drink. And oftentimes, as those rules are relatively general guidelines that do work, At the same time, I can tell you Zinfandel with salmon is fantastic, just as Cabernet with chocolate is a real typical dessert. There are no rules, and that's what I want to get across to you. If you know what you like, you've already found out most of the key to enjoying wine.
You see, learning about wine really isn't that complicated. Just drink what you like. Cheers, Scott.
Cheers.
Now it's time to sample the latest from Cathay Pacific in the world of discovery.
Welcome to
The Silverado Resort is home to not one but two 18-hole golf courses and hosts the senior PGA Tour Trans-America event every fall. There's also a staff of top professionals around to help you with your swing.
Now, Steve Blacknell is on par with our final installment from the world of cinema.
Well, that's about it from me and the show. Now, despite the lack of snow on the ground, it's been easy to toast the festive spirit on the wine train. So all that remains is for me to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Cathay Pacific and the Napa Valley. Cheers.